Memorial number 11, the South Carolina Memorial. Located where General J.B. Kershaw's brigade formed, this rather simple monument was dedicated in 1963 and cost $15,000. This monument has an outline of the state as well as the state seal. It also has a carved palmetto tree, which depicts the state's nickname of the Palmetto State. It contains the names and assignments of each South Carolina unit in the Army of Northern Virginia. At the base, there is an excerpt from a song, Ode at Magnolia Cemetery, which was sung during the ceremonies decorating graves in April of 1867. Memorial number 12, the North Carolina Memorial. This monument is considered to be one of the most dramatic monuments in Gettysburg. It honors the 23 infantry regiments, 3 cavalry regiments, 3 artillery batteries, and 1 infantry battalion that participated in the battle. The statue was sculpted by Gutzon Borglum, whose other famous works were of the presidents at Mount Rushmore. Located near where the North Carolina Brigade of Heth's division emerged during Pickett's charge, it was dedicated on July 3, 1929, and cost $50,000. The 4 soldiers depict the determination they feel as they face the charge at the Union forces. It is one of the few monuments with a fence around it. Near the main statue is a monolith containing names of the North Carolina unit on the Confederate side. Memorial number 13, the Tennessee State Memorial. Tennessee was the last of the southern states to place a monument on the field at Gettysburg. It was dedicated on July 2, 1982, and cost $25,000. The 3 soldiers represent each of the 3 regiments in the battle, and the stars at the top of the monument symbolize the divisions of the state, Eastern, Central, and Western. Notice that an outline of the state of Tennessee is cut into the base. There's a similarity to the Arkansas Memorial, as the depictions of the soldiers are carved into the monument. Memorial number 14, the Maryland State Memorial. The Maryland State Monument is located across the street from the National Cemetery and is one of the most recent monuments. Maryland's seal is at the base of the monument. It was dedicated on December 13, 1994. This monument honored troops who were on both sides of the conflict. The dramatic statues represent 2 soldiers after the bloody battle they participated in. Since Maryland was a border state, there are 2 other monuments honoring soldiers from this state. One monument honors men from the Eastern Shore who fought on the Union side, and another monument honored the men who fought for the Confederate side. Memorial number 15, the Delaware State Monument. Located close to the Maryland State Memorial, the Delaware State Monument is the newest state monument at the battlefield. Dedicated on April 29th in the year 2000, it is striking because of the depiction of the fierce fighting during the 3-day battle. Monument number 16, the Friend to Friend Masonic Memorial. Located just outside the National Cemetery, this memorial is considered by some to be the most moving of the statues at Gettysburg. The statues on the memorial depict an actual incident between 2 Freemasons, a Confederate brigadier general and a Union captain. It is estimated that more than 15,000 Freemasons fought on both sides of the conflict. Monument number 17, General Longstreet. This statue is located in a shaded grove near the Louisiana State Memorial. It is unique in that it is the only equestrian statue of a general that is not on a pedestal. Also, the movement of the horse and rider are more animated than the other equestrian statues on the battlefield. Monument number 18, the 44th New York Infantry. The largest regimental monument on the battlefield is the 44th New York Infantry. Dedicated on July 3, 1893, at a cost of $10,965, it is the second monument that a person can walk to on a second tier. Inside the lower half of the monument, bronze plaques contain the complete muster roll of each company of the regiment. In addition, there are reliefs of two former officers, General Francis Barlow and General Butterfield, who was the composer of the bugle call entitled Taps. This monument is located at the summit of Little Round Top and offers a visitor a grand view of the battlefield. The 44th Regiment was raised to Ephraim Elmer Ellsworth, the first Union officer killed during the war. Ellsworth was a personal friend of Lincoln, and at the outbreak of the war raised a regiment of 2,300 men. His troops were the first successful mission to occupy Alexandria, Virginia. Monument number 19, the 20th Maine Infantry. Fighting for the two Round Tops was one of the more important battles at Gettysburg. These positions were ideal locations for the direction of artillery fire. Here, under Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, the 20th Maine Infantry held a position that was vital to the Union's left flank. The 20th Maine was low of ammunition and had repulsed many Confederate attacks. Chamberlain decided to fix bayonets and charge the enemy rather than holding the position. This surprising action drove the enemy off the slope. Several other regiments occupied the same position of the third day and built a wall there. In 1886, the survivors of the 20th privately erected a monument where a soldier held the regimental flag. Monument number 20, the New Hampshire Infantry. One of the most unusual monuments on the battlefield is the 5th New Hampshire Infantry, located in the woods off Ayers Avenue. 4 boulders form the base, and each of the boulders comes from a different location around the battlefield. The octagonal block in the middle is made of New Hampshire granite. Dedicated on July 2, 1886, at a cost of $600, it stands at the spot where the brigade commander Cross was struck. Colonel Cross survived 12 woundings during his career, 9 during the Civil War. His commander shouted to him on that day, "Colonel, today you'll get your star." However, in just a few minutes, Cross was fatally struck. His name and 30 others are inscribed on the monument. Monument number 21, the Irish Brigade Monument. The Irish Brigade Monument is dedicated to 3 New York regiments who suffered many casualties during the 3-day battle. The ornate shaft and insert bronze is carved into the shape of a Celtic cross, the traditional symbol of Ireland. At the base lies a life-size replica of an Irish wolfhound. The monument was dedicated on July 2, 1888, and cost $5,000. In addition to honoring the 3 New York regiments, there's a bronze plaque at the right side of the base representing an artillery battery. This unit was the 14th New York Independent Battery that was detached but fought heroically at Gettysburg. Monument number 22, Excelsior Brigade Monument. 5 regiments, the 70th, 71st, 72nd, 73rd, and the 74th New York Infantries, fought as reinforcements to the struggling Union forces on the Emmitsburg Road. These units were raised by Congressman Daniel Sickles to put down the rebellion. Dedicated on July 2, 1893, at a cost of $7,500, the monument honors the soldiers of the Excelsior Brigade. The column represents the 5 infantry units. At the top of the dome sits a warlike eagle with its wings outstretched. A bust of General Sickles was to be placed below the dome, but it was never completed. Near the Excelsior Brigade Monument sits one of the most unusual monuments, which is the memorial to the 73rd New York Infantry, also known as the 2nd Fire Zouaves. In 1861, Chief Engineer John Decker called for volunteers from the New York Fire Department to form a regiment. Each soldier was kept on the rolls as an active member of the firefighters in New York while in the military. The monument is placed where the troops fought on July 2nd. The two statues represent the civilian fireman and the Union soldier. This monument was dedicated in 1897. Monument number 24, the 42nd New York Infantry. Another monument that's strikingly different is the Tammany Regiment, or the 42nd New York Infantry Monument. This unit fought Corps of Trees on the afternoon of July 3rd. The statue is a representation of the Indian chief Tamanend of the Delaware Indians, with a wigwam in the background. The Tammany Societies of New York raised the money to form a regiment. The society used the chief ideals of bravery, courage, and diplomacy, and it was customary to call members of the regiment braves. Visitors to Gettysburg have a mistaken notion that Indians fought at Gettysburg. Memorial number 25, the Peace Light Monument. The concept of a peace memorial was discussed in 1913 when many of the veterans of the conflict came to Gettysburg. However, the country got involved in World War I and the Depression. After receiving contributions from several states, the memorial was constructed. The Peace Light Monument, located on Oak Hill, was dedicated on July 3, 1938, and cost $50,000. The monument has a symbolic flame of peace at its top. The bas relief of two women on the shaft represents the peace and goodwill between the North and the South. President Franklin Roosevelt was present when a Union veteran and a Confederate veteran lit the flame. The attendance of this dedication was estimated to range from 200,000 to 400,000.